Hold up your hand right now. Look at it. That hand has a history stretching back millions of years. Every bone, every joint, every tendon was shaped by ancestors who lived and died across an almost incomprehensible span of time. Millions of generations, billions of individuals. And we have fossils from almost none of them. The human fossil record is often described as remarkably complete. Museums display skeleton after skeleton, textbooks show neat diagrams of human evolution. It feels like we know the story, but here is the uncomfortable truth. For every fossil we've found, there are millions of individuals who left no trace at all, entire populations, entire species. 2 million years of human existence. And most of it is simply missing. If you are settling in for the night, this is the kind of mystery that belongs in the dark hours. The question of who came before us and why we can't find them. It has been haunting paleontologists for generations. Subscribe and stick around. Let's start with some numbers that should keep you awake. The genus Homo. Our genus appeared roughly 2 million years ago. In that time, conservative estimates suggest that over 100 billion humans have lived and died. 100 billion individuals, each with a life, a story, a place in the chain that led to you. How many of those 100 billion do we have fossils from? A few thousand at most. And many of those are just fragments. A tooth here, a finger bone there. Complete skeletons are extraordinarily rare. The vast majority of humans who ever lived vanished completely, leaving nothing behind but the descendants who carry their genes. This isn't a problem with our searching. We've been looking for human fossils for over 150 years. Thousands of paleontologists have dedicated their careers to the hunt. Millions of dollars have been spent, and still the record remains almost entirely empty. The reason is simple but profound. Fossilization is extraordinarily rare. When an organism dies, it almost always decomposes completely. Bones are scattered by scavengers, tissues rot away. Within years, sometimes months, nothing remains. For a fossil to form, conditions have to be perfect in ways that almost never happen. Quick burial is essential. The organism has to be covered by sediment before it can decompose. That sediment has to have the right chemistry to allow mineralization. The burial site has to remain undisturbed for millions of years. And then, against all odds, erosion or excavation has to expose the fossil just as someone qualified to recognize it happens to walk by. The odds against any individual becoming a fossil are astronomical. One estimate suggests that fewer than 1 in a billion organisms ever fossilize. For humans who lived in relatively small populations and often in environments hostile to preservation, the odds are even worse. This means that the fossils we do have represent an incredibly biased sample. We find fossils from places where conditions favored preservation, lake shores, river deltas, caves. These environments are overrepresented in the fossil record. Places where early humans actually spent most of their time, like forests and grasslands, are almost completely absent. Think about what this means. Our entire understanding of human evolution is based on fossils from a tiny fraction of the places our ancestors actually lived. It is like trying to understand modern humanity by only studying people who happen to live near beaches. you'd miss almost everything important, and the geographic bias is just the beginning. There is also a temporal bias. Some time periods are well represented in the fossil record. Others are almost completely empty. There are gaps of hundreds of thousands of years where we have almost no human fossils at all. One of the most troubling gaps spans from roughly 400,000 to 200,000 years ago. This is exactly the period when modern humans were supposedly evolving from earlier forms. The most important transformation in our lineage, and we have almost no direct evidence of how it happened. During those 200,000 years, something extraordinary was happening. Brain size was increasing. Facial features were changing. Behavior was becoming more complex. But the fossil record goes nearly silent just when we need it most. The transformation happened in the dark, unseen, and unrecorded. Some researchers call this the muddle in the middle. A period of human evolution so poorly documented that we can barely distinguish signal from noise. Multiple species may have existed simultaneously. Interbreeding may have been common. But we can't tell for certain because we simply don't have enough fossils. And here is what makes it even more frustrating. We know populations existed during these gaps. Humans didn't disappear and reappear. The genetic evidence proves continuous population existence, even when the fossil record shows nothing. The people were there. We just can't find them. Africa presents the most painful example. This is where humans evolved. This is where the most important transformations occurred. This is where we should have the richest fossil record. But African fossils are extraordinarily rare compared to what we find in Europe and Asia. The reasons are complex. African soils tend to be acidic, which destroys bone. Tropical environments promote rapid decomposition. Many promising sites are in politically unstable regions where research is difficult. And frankly, less money has been spent looking in Africa than in Europe or North America. But the practical reasons don't change the fundamental problem. The most important chapter of human history unfolded in a place where evidence is hardest to find. It is as if the universe deliberately hid the most crucial parts of our story. Consider the origin of modern humans. We know Homo sapiens appeared in Africa somewhere between 300,000 and 200,000 years ago. We know this from genetics and from a handful of fossils, but we don't know where in Africa, we don't know from which earlier population, we don't know how or why. The fossils we have from this period are scattered across the continent. Morocco, Ethiopia, South Africa. They don't tell a coherent story of a single population evolving in a single place. They suggest something more complex, possibly multiple populations across Africa, contributing to what would become modern humans. But we can't test this theory properly because we don't have enough fossils. The lost population, or populations, that gave rise to modern humans remains almost entirely invisible. We descended from ghosts whose existence we can infer but cannot see, and the problem extends far beyond our own species. Consider all the other human species that existed during the past 2 million years. Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo naledi, the Denisovans. We have named these species based on a handful of fossils each. What about the species we haven't named because we haven't found them? Genetic evidence suggests that multiple unknown human populations existed and interbred with our ancestors. Ghost populations. Researchers call them DNA signatures in modern genomes that don't match any known fossil species. Proof that there is more out there than we've found. How many human species actually existed over the past 2 million years? The traditional answer was perhaps a dozen, but some researchers now suspect the number could be much higher. Dozens of species, hundreds of distinct populations, each adapted to different environments, most leaving no trace at all. The fossil record is like a book with most of the pages torn out. We can read fragments. We can guess at what the missing pages might have said, but the full story remains forever incomplete. The lost populations stay lost regardless of how hard we search. If you are still with me, consider what this means for our understanding of ourselves. Everything we think we know about human evolution is based on an almost absurdly incomplete sample. The confident diagrams in textbooks represent best guesses, not established facts. This doesn't mean the diagrams are wrong. The fossils we have are real. The patterns they reveal are genuine. But the pattern is incomplete. There are populations, species, entire lineages that we've never seen and might never see. Some paleontologists find this frustrating. They've dedicated their lives to filling in the gaps, and the gaps remain vast. Every new discovery raises new questions. The more we find, the more we realize how much is missing. But others find it exciting. The lost populations are still out there, in a sense. Not the individuals themselves, but the fossils that could tell us about them. Every year, new sites are discovered. New techniques allow us to extract information from fossils that would have been useless decades ago. Ancient DNA has revolutionized everything. We can now sequence genomes from fossils tens of thousands of years old. The Denisovans were identified not from their bones, but from their DNA. Ghost populations reveal themselves through their genetic signatures in modern people, but DNA degrades over time. Beyond a few 100,000 years, there is usually nothing left to sequence. The oldest human DNA we've recovered is about 400,000 years old. That leaves 1.6 million years of human existence that DNA can't illuminate. For that deeper history, we're stuck with fossils, bones and teeth and stone tools. The physical traces that either survived or didn't, and mostly they didn't. The lost population of early Homo, the first 2 million years of our genus, remains almost entirely lost. This is where Homo erectus becomes important. This species, or group of species, survived for nearly 2 million years, longer than any other human species. They spread from Africa to Asia to Europe. They developed sophisticated tools, they controlled fire, they were remarkably successful, and we have fossils from perhaps a few hundred individuals over that entire 2 million year span, a few hundred out of what must have been billions. The rest are the lost population. Their lives, their achievements, their struggles, all vanished without a trace. What were those billions of individuals like? Did they have language? Did they have culture? Did they love their children and mourn their dead? We have hints. We have suggestions. We have tantalizing fragments, but we don't have enough to know for certain. Stone tools give us glimpses. The archaeological record preserves tools even when bones are lost. And the tools tell us that Homo erectus was intelligent. They made sophisticated hand axes that required planning and skill. They chose materials carefully. They taught techniques to their children, but tools can only tell us so much. We want to see the people who made them. We want to understand their lives. And for 2 million years of human existence, we mostly can't. The makers are gone. Only their creations remain. Some researchers have tried to estimate how many human fossils we might eventually find. The calculations are sobering. Even if we discovered 100 times more fossils than we currently have, we would still be sampling only a tiny fraction of the individuals who actually lived. The lost population will always be lost. Not because we're not trying, not because we're doing something wrong, but because fossilization is so rare that most individuals, most populations, most of human history simply cannot be recovered. This should make us humble. Every confident claim about human evolution is provisional. Every diagram is a best guess. Every theory could be overturned by tomorrow's discovery. The lost population is a constant reminder that we don't know what we don't know, but it should also make us marvel at what we have managed to learn. Despite the gaps, despite the limitations, despite the fundamental impossibility of complete knowledge, we've pieced together an astonishing amount of information about our past. We know that humans evolved in Africa. We know that multiple species coexisted and interbred. We know that our ancestors spread across the globe in multiple waves. We know that we're part of a family tree that extends back millions of years and includes species we've never seen. Every fossil we find is a gift, a window into the past that could so easily have remained closed forever. The individuals whose bones we study beat the astronomical odds against preservation. They achieved a kind of immortality that their contemporaries did not. Lucy, the famous Australopithecus skeleton, died 3.2 million years ago. Her bones were preserved by chance, discovered by chance, studied and celebrated, while billions of her contemporaries vanished forever. She represents more than herself. She represents all the lost populations who have no representative. When you look at Lucy in a museum, you are not just looking at one individual. You are looking at the only survivor of a vast population, the sole voice speaking for millions who will never speak. The one who made it through the bottleneck of fossilization while everyone else was lost. And Lucy is relatively recent. In evolutionary terms, go back further to the earliest members of genus Homo, and the record becomes even sparser. The lost population grows larger the further back we look. The gaps widen, the silence deepens. 2 million years is an almost incomprehensible span of time. Civilizations have risen and fallen in the last 5,000 years. Recorded history barely extends past 5,000 years, and genus Homo has existed for 400 times that long. 400 civilizations could have risen and fallen and left no trace at all. Did our ancient ancestors have something like civilization? Probably not in any sense we would recognize. But they had culture, they had traditions, they had knowledge passed from generation to generation, all of it lost, all of it part of the population we cannot find. If you are drifting off now, let that thought carry you into sleep. You are connected to 2 million years of human existence. Billions of individuals whose lives made your life possible. Most of them left no trace. But their contribution persists in you. Every gene in your body passed through those lost populations. Every trait you have was shaped by their lives and deaths. Natural selection acting on individuals who existed and vanished without leaving any direct evidence of their existence. They survived long enough to reproduce. That is all we know for certain about any of them. They passed their genes to the next generation and the next and the next, until eventually those genes reached you. An unbroken chain of survival stretching back 2 million years. The lost population isn't really lost. In that sense, they live on in their descendants. Their genetic legacy persists, even though their bones crumbled to dust millions of years ago. You are the evidence that they existed. That is a strange kind of immortality. To be remembered, not for what you did or who you were, but simply for the fact that you existed and reproduced. No names, no stories, no faces, just the genetic signature of survival passed down through countless generations. But perhaps that is the truest kind of immortality. The pyramids will crumble, books will decay, digital records will corrupt, but genes persist. They've persisted for 2 million years already. They'll persist for millions more, carrying the legacy of the lost population into a future. None of us can imagine. Tomorrow, paleontologists will continue their search. New fossils will be discovered. New techniques will extract new information. The lost population will become slightly less lost, one fragment at a time. But the fundamental truth won't change. Most of human history is lost forever. Most of our ancestors left no trace. The 2 million years of genus Homo will always be mostly dark, illuminated only by occasional fossils that beat the astronomical odds against preservation. And that is okay. We don't need complete knowledge to appreciate the mystery. We don't need every fossil to understand our connection to the past. The lost population exists in us whether we can find their bones or not. So rest now. Let the 2 million years settle around you like a blanket. You are wrapped in history you can never fully know, surrounded by ancestors you can never fully see. Part of a story that will never be completely told. Thanks for spending this time with the lost population. With the 2 million years of humans we can't find, with the vast silence that surrounds the few voices we can hear. Subscribe and stick around for more journeys into the darkness of deep time. Good night. Sleep well, and remember that you carry the lost population with you in your genes, in your bones. In every breath you take, they're not lost at all. They're just invisible, which isn't quite the same thing. The 2 million years will still be there tomorrow. Mostly empty, mostly silent, mostly lost. But not entirely, because you are here, and you are the proof that they existed. Good night, from the lost population, from the billions who left no trace, from the ancestors who exist only in the genes they passed down. They can't speak for themselves, but they live on in you. And that is a kind of speaking too. But before you drift away completely, there is more to this story worth exploring. The lost population raises questions that go beyond paleontology. Questions about identity, about continuity, about what it means to be human across deep time. Consider the problem of species boundaries. We draw lines between Homo erectus and Homo heidelbergensis and Homo sapiens. We give them different names, create separate categories. But the individuals who lived through these transitions didn't know they were becoming something new. A child was born to parents of one species and was classified by scientists millions of years later as belonging to a different species. The child didn't know. The parents didn't know. The change happened so gradually that no one living through it could have noticed. This raises a profound question. When did humans become human? There is no precise moment, no clear boundary. The lost population spans a continuum from creatures we would barely recognize as relatives to individuals who could probably pass unnoticed on a modern street. The 2 million years of lost population include all of these transitional forms, every step along the way, every generation that was slightly different from the one before, all of them human in some sense. All of them our ancestors, almost all of them invisible. And here is what makes it even more complex. Evolution didn't happen in a single line. It happened across populations spread across continents. Different groups evolved in different directions. Some went extinct, others merged. The family tree is more like a family bush, with branches going every which way. The lost population includes all of this complexity. The groups that diverged and the groups that merged. The experiments that failed and the experiments that succeeded. The dead ends and the through lines. All of it hidden in the gaps of the fossil record. Modern genetics is starting to reveal some of this complexity. The ghost populations we've discussed before. The DNA signatures that don't match any known species. These are glimpses of the lost population seen through the genes they passed to their descendants. But genetics can only take us so far. The oldest DNA we can sequence is a few 100,000 years old. Beyond that, we're back to fossils. And fossils, as we've seen, preserve only the tiniest fraction of who existed. So what do we do with 2 million years we can barely see? One approach is to accept the uncertainty and work within it. Build models, make predictions, test them against whatever evidence we can find. This is how science works, even with incomplete data. Another approach is to focus on what we can know. The fossils we have are real. The patterns they reveal are genuine. Instead of mourning what is missing, celebrate what has been found. Build understanding on the evidence that exists. A third approach is to keep searching. The lost population hasn't been found yet, but that doesn't mean it can never be found. New sites are discovered every year. New techniques extract information that would have been impossible to obtain decades ago. In 2015, researchers announced the discovery of Homo naledi in a South African cave. This species had gone completely undetected until cavers explored a chamber that had been sealed for millennia. Thousands of fossils from a previously unknown species hidden in plain sight. The Homo naledi discovery proves that major finds are still possible. The lost population includes species we haven't even named yet. Populations that lived and thrived and disappeared without leaving any trace we've found so far. But the trace might still be out there. Some researchers believe that unexplored caves in Africa and Asia could contain fossil treasures we can barely imagine. Sediments that haven't been disturbed since the Ice Age. Burial sites that ancient humans visited, but modern humans have never seen. The lost population might be waiting to be found. Technology is also advancing rapidly. Ground-penetrating radar can detect buried sites without excavation. Environmental DNA can identify species from soil samples alone. Machine learning can analyze satellite imagery to identify promising locations. The tools for finding the lost population keep getting better. But even with the best technology, fundamental limits remain. Most fossils that could have formed never did. Most fossils that did form have already been destroyed by geological processes. The lost population is lost, not because we can't find it, but because it largely doesn't exist to be found. This is where the mystery becomes almost philosophical. How do you study something that doesn't exist? How do you understand a population that left no trace? The lost 2 million years are a reminder that knowledge has limits, that some questions may never be fully answered. But perhaps that is okay. Perhaps the mystery is as valuable as the solution would be. The lost population keeps us humble, keeps us searching, keeps us aware that our confident stories are built on fragmentary evidence from an almost incomprehensibly incomplete record. And the lost population connects us to something vast. When you contemplate 2 million years of human existence, you are not just thinking about bones and fossils. You are thinking about lives, countless lives, each one complete and meaningful to the individual who lived it. An individual Homo erectus, living 1 million years ago, had a life as real and immediate to them as your life is to you. They woke up in the morning, found food, avoided dangers, interacted with others, experienced joy and fear and pain and pleasure. Their subjective experience was as vivid as yours, and then they died. Their body decomposed, their bones scattered. Everything they were, everything they experienced, everything they knew vanished completely. No trace remained. They joined the lost population, indistinguishable from the billions of others who shared their fate. This is the common destiny of almost every human who has ever lived. Not just in deep prehistory, but throughout all of history. Most people leave no trace. Most lives are lived and forgotten. The lost population isn't ancient. It includes almost everyone who has ever existed. Think about your own great-great-great-grandparents. Do you know their names? Do you know anything about their lives? For most people, the answer is no. Just a few generations back, and the personal details vanish. The individuals become statistics, names on a census if you are lucky. Nothing at all if you are not. Now multiply that by millions of generations. The lost population isn't just a paleontological problem. It is a fundamental truth about human existence. Most of who we are and where we came from is simply unknowable, lost to time. Beyond recovery, some people find this disturbing. The idea that their existence will eventually join the lost population, that everything they are will vanish as completely as Homo erectus individuals who lived 1 million years ago. It feels like a negation of meaning, but there is another way to see it. The lost population isn't a negation of meaning. It is a transformation of meaning. Those ancient individuals may have left no trace we can find, but they contributed to a lineage that persists. Their genes live on. Their descendants continue. You are the meaning of the lost population. Your existence proves that their lives mattered. They survived long enough to reproduce. They passed their genes forward through countless generations. Those genes reached you. Their success is measured not by fossils, but by descendants. And someday, you'll join the lost population too. Your bones will decay. Your records will fade. Your name will be forgotten. But if you contribute to the continuation of life, whether through children or through other means, you'll have done what your ancestors did. You'll have passed something forward. This is the strange comfort of the lost population. It is not about individual survival. It is about collective persistence. The lineage continues even when individuals are forgotten. The species persists even when populations vanish. Life finds a way to keep going. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the 2 million years of humans we can't find weren't lost at all. Perhaps they just transformed into something else, into us, into the future we're creating, into the descendants who will carry human genes long after we're gone. If that is true, then the lost population isn't really lost. It is just hidden, present in us even though we can't see it directly, shaping who we are even though we can't trace its influence. The 2 million years are inside you, not outside you. Your immune system carries adaptations developed by the lost population. Your brain structure reflects millions of years of cognitive evolution. Your body plan emerged through transitions we can barely document. Every part of you bears the signature of ancestors you can never meet. When you dream tonight, some part of you will be dreaming with a brain shaped by the lost population. When you wake tomorrow, you'll navigate the world using instincts honed over 2 million years. The lost population is your silent partner in everything you do. So perhaps the mystery isn't really about finding fossils. Perhaps it is about recognizing what has already been found. The lost population exists in you, in me, in everyone alive today. We are the evidence. We are the record. We are the continuation of 2 million years of human existence. The paleontologists will keep searching. The geneticists will keep analyzing. The archaeologists will keep digging. And they'll find more than we have now. But they'll never find everything. The lost population will always be mostly lost. And that is okay, because the most important part of the lost population survives. In us, in our children. In the future, humans who will carry these genes forward for millions more years, if we're lucky. The chain doesn't break just because we can't see every link. So rest now with your lost ancestors. Let their invisible presence comfort you. You carry them wherever you go. You are their monument. Even though you can't name them, you are their proof of existence. Even though you can't see them, 2 million years of humans we can't find. But we found you. And that might be enough. Thanks for spending this time with the lost population, with the vast silence of deep time, with the question of who came before us and why we can't see them. Subscribe and stick around for more journeys into the parts of our story that remain hidden. Good night. The 2 million years will still be there tomorrow, mostly invisible, mostly silent, but not entirely, because you'll be there too, and you are part of the story whether you can see the whole thing or not. Sleep well, dream of the lost population. They're dreaming with you, in a sense, through you. Their minds shape the mind that dreams tonight. Their lives made your life possible. That is a connection that transcends fossils. Good night from the 2 million years. From everyone who lived and died without leaving a trace. From the vast majority of human existence that remains forever hidden. They can't say good night themselves, but you can say it for them. Good night. But wait. There is one more dimension to this mystery worth exploring as you drift towards sleep. The lost population isn't just about the past. It raises questions about the future too. Questions about what we're leaving behind, about what future species might find or fail to find. Of us, consider what humans are doing right now. We're building cities, creating digital archives, filling museums with artifacts, writing books and recording videos, and storing information in ways our ancestors couldn't have imagined. Surely we're leaving more trace than the lost population did. But are we? Digital information requires specific technology to access. Change the technology and the archives become unreadable. In a few centuries, our hard drives will be as inscrutable as cuneiform tablets are to the average person today. Maybe more so, since cuneiform at least persists as physical marks on clay, and physical materials decay. Paper crumbles, plastic degrades, even stone eventually weathers away. The buildings we're so proud of are mayflies in geological time. 1 million years from now, almost nothing we've built will still exist. The fossil record of modern humans might end up being surprisingly sparse. Our bones contain less dense material than our ancestors' bones did. Our burial practices often accelerate decomposition rather than preserving remains. Future paleontologists might find us harder to study than Homo erectus, and here is a truly unsettling thought. If human civilization collapsed tomorrow, how long would it take for all trace of our existence to disappear? Scientists have studied this question. The answer is surprisingly short, a few million years, and there might be nothing left at all. Our highways would crumble and be overgrown. Our cities would collapse and be buried. Our plastics would degrade into unrecognizable particles. Even our most permanent structures would eventually be subducted into the Earth's mantle through plate tectonics. In 100 million years, there might be nothing left to show that humans ever existed. Just as there is nothing left to show what dinosaurs built, if they built anything. The Earth cleans up after its inhabitants with remarkable efficiency. This puts the lost population in perspective. We're not special. Our descendants might puzzle over gaps in their fossil record of us, just as we puzzle over gaps in the record of earlier humans. The problem of the lost population might extend forward as well as backward, unless we do something about it. Some researchers have proposed creating permanent archives designed to survive for millions of years. Information encoded in stable crystals, messages carved into the bedrock of stable continental regions, time capsules for geologic timescales. These projects are fascinating but limited. They can preserve information, but not the lived experience of billions of individuals. They can record facts, but not the subjective reality of being human in our era. The lost population problem applies to meaning as well as data. What did it feel like to be Homo erectus? We have their tools, we have their bones, but we don't have their thoughts, their dreams, their fears and hopes. That inner life is completely lost, and no fossil can ever recover it. The same will be true of us. Future beings might find our skeletons, might decode our archives, might understand what we did in extraordinary detail, but they'll never know what it felt like to be us. Our subjective experience will join the lost population. This is perhaps the deepest meaning of the lost population. Not just that we can't find fossils, but that even if we found every fossil, we still wouldn't know the most important things. The inner lives of our ancestors are beyond recovery, and our inner lives will be beyond recovery too. Some philosophers find this depressing. What is the point of life if it is all going to be lost? Why struggle and strive and build if nothing survives in the end? But there is another way to see it. If nothing is preserved forever, then meaning must come from the present moment. The lost population lived their lives fully, even though those lives would be lost. They didn't need permanence to have purpose. An individual Homo erectus didn't know they would be lost to history. They just lived, woke up each day, did what needed to be done, experienced joy and suffering, and that experience was complete in itself. It didn't need to be preserved to be meaningful. The same is true for you. Your life is meaningful right now. In this moment, regardless of what future generations might know or not know about you. The lost population lived meaningful lives. Their loss to the fossil record doesn't change that. And perhaps there is comfort in joining the lost population. Everyone does. Eventually, all your ancestors, all your descendants, everyone you love, everyone you've ever known, we're all headed for the same destination, the same anonymity, the same return to the vast majority, the famous and the obscure, the powerful and the powerless, the geniuses and the ordinary people, given enough time, all of them become part of the lost population. History forgets everyone, eventually. The only question is when. But before that forgetting comes life. Full, vivid, immediate life. The lost population lived fully before they were lost. They experienced everything that being alive has to offer. Their existence wasn't diminished by its eventual disappearance, and neither is yours. Right now, in this moment, you are as alive as any human has ever been. You are feeling and thinking and experiencing with the same intensity as your most ancient ancestors. The quality of experience doesn't degrade over time. When you close your eyes tonight and drift into sleep, you'll be doing exactly what humans have done for 2 million years. The ritual of rest, the surrender to unconsciousness, the trust that tomorrow will come. It is one of the most fundamental human experiences. The lost population did this too. Countless individuals, across countless generations, lay down and close their eyes, just as you are doing now, They couldn't leave fossils of their sleep, but they slept, and in sleeping, they connected to everyone who would sleep after them. That is a kind of preservation that fossils can't capture. The continuity of experience. The practice is passed down not through teaching but through biology. The shared inheritance of being human that connects you to the lost population more intimately than any bone could. So rest now, join the great tradition, do what humans have always done, what the lost population did every night of their lives. Close your eyes. Let go. Trust that the morning will come. Tomorrow, you'll wake up and continue living, just as the lost population did, morning after morning, for 2 million years. They're not really lost at all, they're just invisible, and you are carrying on their work. The lost population, 2 million years of humans we can't find, except that we find them every time we look in the mirror, every time we feel the sun on our skin, every time we do anything that being human involves. They're not lost. They're just us, now transformed but continuous, changed but connected, invisible but present. That is the real meaning of the lost population. Not absence, but transformation. Not loss, but continuation. Good night. Sleep well. And remember, you are not observing the lost population from outside. You are part of it. Living part. Continuing part. The part that is awake right now for a little while longer before joining the great sleep that everyone eventually joins. 2 million years of humans we can't find. And one human, right here, right now, who can be found, that is you. That is the miracle. That is the gift the lost population gave you. Sleep now. The 2 million years are watching over you. They always have been. They always will be. Good night.